my event quest, take damage 100 times, plus 1 ranked, so 50 times, plus 1 if I took the damage on my own turn, and I completed it in 1 game.
So what you're saying is that I am doing a public service by playing Mech Warrior because I'm helping people clear half their quest in one go. So if you've run into me in ladder, you're welcome. Welcome to episode 522 of Concede, a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. It is Thursday, November 6th, 2025 in the evening. From Northrim, Massachusetts, it's me, Wicked Good. And from Teldrassil, California, we have Megasa.
Hello.
And Edelweiss is in Nomergon, Ohio, but she is taking the night off this week, so you just have the two of us. But from all around the world, we have you, dear listeners. This week's episode is brought to you by our producers, Number Theory, Kresh, Beef Squatch, David P., Jeremy T., Bottle Caps, Grumpy Monk, The Berber Club, Kirk Regan, May, Kiwi, Spine, Proby1, and returning producer, Grizzly Bear. And by our patrons of the week, Wadeo and World 8. You can go to patreon.com/CoinConcede to get perks like a thank you at the top of the show, bonus post-show content, early access to new episodes, one-on-one coaching sessions, and help support the show in the process. And if you'd like to support the show, but you cannot do so monetarily, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on your podcast feed of choice. It always helps other people find the show. And if you happen to be watching us on YouTube, do the like and subscribe thing, because that also helps.
It definitely does.
Yes. We forget to do that because we have more people watching us on YouTube. And hello, YouTube listeners, YouTube viewers, listeners. You may be listening while you're viewing. I don't know. But welcome to you all as well. So, Life and Ladder, how's the new set going, Megasa?
New set's going pretty well. I've carved out a little more time to play than I probably should be because I have... So, 2 weeks ago, I thought, sure, I can volunteer to give my final presentation for this class that I'm taking a week early because then I'll have a little more time during the class. It won't be as crushed from other people doing it. It'll be good. You know, the professor will be impressed. I'll get feedback on my assessment report early so then I can write my final paper better. Which is great, except for the expansion comes out this week. And also there's a virtual conference for educational therapy over the weekend that I signed up for and then realized I'm going to be able to attend like a third of it. But anyway. So I'm most of the way done with those slides. But in the meantime, we have a podcast and I have been able to play some of the new expansion. I tried out a number of things. I always... You know, when I'm first trying out decks, I usually lose more than I win because I'm trying new things. They're not refined. There was one exception, Stormwind, way back, first day, I discovered Quest Mage and had like a 90% win rate on day one because nobody knew not to play minions against Quest Mage yet. So... it was already starting to flag by the next day, but usually not as well. But then I did discover this, and we're going to talk a lot more about the state of the meta and all the decks. But for a while on day one and part of day two, I was doing really well with this like quote unquote Protoss druid. It's like a location zealot druid that I believe was made by a player named Kubu. And the idea is you empower Zinajari, which is the fabled location. So now it can make a copy with doubled stats. And then you use Scrapbooking Student to copy the empowered Zinajari. And then you make ludicrously huge zealots and kill them. And if they have taunts, you still make ludicrously huge zealots and then dare them to clear it. And this worked really well at first, and now it's getting destroyed by Mech Warriors. But
yep.
It's also somewhat vulnerable to aggro, which is what people are playing against the Mech Warriors. So, at least what I've run into. Things, by the time you're hearing this, listener, things have probably already changed, but as our... or maybe not. But... Yeah, so it was working well, now it's not, and it on HS Guru it does not have a positive win rate, but I did have fun with it while it lasted, and it might come back when we have assuming that at some point in the future we have a less Mech Warrior heavy meta. But yeah, I tried a number of things. I did some Shredlock, killed somebody like on 4 with Shredlock. That's not the usual result, but it did feel powerful when you really get the curve right. The very first game that I had, I did Tachyon Barrage, like coin, Tachyon Barrage, Coyote, turn 1.
Oh yeah, I left a board up of. I think I made the mistake of playing the card that summons the 2/2/3s and gives armor for your opponent into a Shred's Lock, forgetting that they had that card, and that didn't end well.
Yeah, that card does seem crazy. And yes, very very hyped in the Discord is saying that the player who made the Protoss Druid went like 18-2 and everyone else went 2-18. I I won it first, but not later. I still haven't played the Zarimi, which is very unlike me. So the Zarimi Murazond, various builds of that are doing pretty well. But I played some Snake aggro Demon Hunter. You don't even really need to add the Snake to do well with Demon Hunter right now, but the Snake is pretty darn good. So I played some of that because I just felt like smarking people and climbing a little bit. I'm still making my way up to Diamond because I had not really played any Standard before the expansion released, and I haven't had a ton of time since the expansion released. But
Yeah, I mean, those couple days before the expansion release were also the days that you don't want to play because then you end up burning your quests early. So
yeah, I was able to get Chronolord Deus at level 20 on day 1, which was very helpful.
Yeah, same, but it took me like my entire stream to get there because I was not winning very many games playing Rafam on day 1.
And they were long.
I'm gonna play Rafam. This is the day I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna play Rafam, and Rafam's not great. It's very fun. It is not a great deck if you want to climb.
You had some crazy games with it.
Yeah, I mean, I won a couple of games, but it's not. I didn't ever Rafam any. I didn't ever time thief Rafam anybody. It was just like either controlling people out of the game or like I made a couple of 7/7s that stuck and they couldn't do anything about them. Like the actual 10 drop didn't matter.
I feel like there was one game where the only reason you lost was because they bobbed into 2 copies of their Incendius.
Oh yeah, that was terrible. Yeah. And then played the third one.
Almost outlasted it anyway. Maybe that was when you were trying TikTok's Aviana Priest.
No, I didn't. Well, maybe that was that one game because it took me that whole stream until I could play the Aviana Priest. I played one game with that Aviana Priest, and then I was done. No, I think that was it because I would think that was enough Hearthstone for the night after that.
I mean, I had the stream playing while I was doing dishes, and when you were like, "Okay, that's the," it's like, very valid.
Yeah, I did try the Zarimi Priest with Murazond. I did get to. The problem is I didn't get to see what happens when you do infinite damage because they just conceded. And it's like, if somebody gets to stick an infinite Murazond, you should just let them hit you, assuming that they're going to actually hit you and not play 17 more cards, just to see what it was like. Because I was kind of bummed that I didn't get to see what it was. But, yeah, I played around with a couple things, and then I just yesterday I picked up the Mech Warrior, and I am at like 84% win rate over 20 games with it. It is dumb. It is very, very dumb. You've probably seen it. If you haven't, the reason that it's good right now is because of Demos. Because what happens is that not only does the death rattle of the testing dummy go off twice, but the death rattle of the boom wrench goes off twice. So you end up doing 64 damage. If you have generally the combo is you're going to part Scrapper, which is the spell that you 2 mana, you lose up to 5 armor. Your next mech costs that much less. So now your testing dummy costs 1. And you can do this on turn 9 just naturally as long as you part Scrappered. You can get it out a little bit earlier if you chem spill the Dios, but generally you're chem spilling the Tortola because you only run 1 copy of the testing dummy and 1 copy of Tortola, so that those are the only 2 taunts you can draw from the draw 2 taunt spell. And so you're usually Chem Spilling Tortola, which is enough to buy you time. And then if you've drawn the second Chem Spell, you can do it. Or if you've just not drawn that spell and you've just naturally dodged Tortola, you can Chem Spell it to get it out a little earlier. But on turn 9, with 9 mana, you can just go, you go Dios, and you play the testing dummy for 1, and then you have your Boom Wrench out, and you play your Boom Wrench for 1. That does 32, because each death rattle for the dummy goes off twice. That's 8 twice, and then the breaking the weapon will have that happen again. So that's or no, wait, it's 64 somehow. I don't even remember. It's a lot.
Once you attack with the weapon,
yeah,
then it breaks again, and then that's another 32.
Oh yeah, that's the other 32. I just know that they're dead at that point, so I've stopped figuring out how the math works. But it's very consistent. It's very dumb, and I take it back, because I was actually looking at the replay where I played against the Warlock, where I played that out, and I actually won that game on turn 9 because I just froze the board. You run Bob, you just run a lot of armor, because you're running all the armor, just all of it. Like, you're running Safety Goggles, you're running Shield Block, you're running Unleash the Crocolis, which is the new spell that costs 1 mana that gives you 10 armor and summons the 2/3s. You're running double Ancient of Yore, and so you run Shield Slam and stuff like that too. And then the rest of it is just draw. So you have slams because it's draw. You have Precursory Strike because it draws you a minion. You don't have that many minions in your deck. You're running Xavius. You're running double Ancient of Yore. You're running Quality Assurance, which is the draw taunts spell. And then you just even Bob can draw you cards if you really need it to. And also For Glory. So ideally you're playing Unleash the Crocolis into For Glory and just drawing for free or cheap. And you get there. You just it's so consistent, and it's kind of unsatisfying, but also I'm not too upset that I get to fix my MMR a little bit. So I've just been doing that, and like the games that I lose are either the mirror, because somebody's got to lose the mirror, or there's a couple of times that I've gotten aggro down hard, but it's not that many. And I would say if you want to climb, play this before people figure out whatever they're going to do to stop it. Because like some people are like probably going to be running Dirty Rats. They might be running Vipers. I know Edel was coming up with like a whole list of things that she could do to hate on the deck. But like Dirty Rat would mess it up. Viper would mess it up to break the weapon. I guess it cuts down on the damage. You can still get some damage through. I mean, 32 is still a lot depending on what the what's there. I mean, Tortola is really the way you stop the combo. Just because it soaks so much damage and it gives the other person armor. So if somebody else plays a Tortola, you kind of make the Mech Warrior player deal with the Tortola before they can combo.
That also, the Tortola helps the Mech Warrior against aggro, which otherwise, if they like, aggro can get under it. But Chemspell Tortola is really consistent here, and Chemspell Tortola is not what aggro likes to see on 5. Edel in the chat is saying that she had Double Rat plus Viper and Control Death Knight, which was pretty good into it. We have, by the way, listeners, in the show notes, I have a list of 13 decks that Edelweiss has been playing. She may edit this before you hear it. And it includes a Control Death Knight. There is a slightly differently teched Mech Warrior that has Inventor Boom and 2 testing dummies. There's a Cycle Rogue, a Discover Hunter, an Alonius Druid with Lady Ajara, Divergence Warlock, which is something I haven't played yet. There's a Rafamlok, there's a Quest Warrior, Woe Shaman, Aura Paladin. I did play a little bit of Aura Paladin. I think that was the first deck that I tried because I had really been wanting to play it during the Brawl and I didn't open Gelbin. So the first thing I did was just craft Gelbin. At this point, I am spoiled for I can just craft on day one because I just have enough dust that like
I've got like 80,000 dust at this point. It's just like I can make whatever I want. And I saw the Aura Paladin, but that's literally all I played during the pre-release Brawl because that was basically all I opened that was viable. So I'm kind of like I want to play anything but Aura Paladin at this point, but I am interested in what it's doing.
Yeah, so there's a build, and this is similar. What I was playing is similar to what Eloise has here, where you have like Sunsap or Linessa. She has a little bit more in terms of extra tutors to get Gelbin, and she has Deos out, which mine didn't, but I feel like maybe it should have had because Deos does double your auras.
Yeah.
That happened at the end of the turn. So that's pretty good. But as like a follow-up to Gelbin, because they still are there, so you don't have to play them all on the same turn, which is nice. But yeah, that felt pretty good. I wanted to be trying other stuff. It does have a positive win rate, at least Diamond through Legend. Let me see if I change that to just Legend.
Yeah, it's one of the better decks.
Yeah, it's still positive at Legend.
If you're not going to play Mech Warrior. And I don't blame you for not, but, you know, it's like this deck is... It might be worth trying if you're interested, just because I don't expect this deck to be here in 2 weeks. Like, I'm fairly confident. Like, I don't know anything, but I'm fairly confident that if there are balance changes, which there should be, this is the kind of thing that they're going to nuke from orbit. Just because it's very degenerate, and it just, there's not really a lot of counterplay to it. Like, it's, the counterplay is hitting with a Dirty Rat, or which, and if you hit the wrong thing with the Dirty Rat and you don't have an answer, then it actually kind of helps them. And, or, you know, Vipering just kind of slows them down. But there's not a lot you can really do about what the Warrior's doing, other than just like going under them, and then that just leads to the aggro arms race that we don't really want to see. So, not that aggro is bad, but like when you're like, you must be this fast to ride, that's not the meta that we want. And I think that, like, ultimately this meta feels better overall with a couple of rough edges, as opposed to like the last one where it was just like second verse same as the first.
Yeah, I will say the Mech Warrior, interestingly, like Aura Paladin has a higher win rate than it, but it's much more popular. So, and at Legend only, it's actually very slightly negative. But
Aura Paladin,
I think that's because Mech Warrior is very slightly negative.
People are gunning for it at Legend. I may get to a point where I switch if I start seeing people like starting to run countermeasures. I'm surprised I haven't really seen it up to now, because usually, like, I'm playing, you know, Public Enemy #1, and I expect that people are gonna just try to kill it with hammers, but I haven't seen it yet, or it hasn't worked out for them. So, but I imagine that I will probably get to that point where people are starting to counter me, and then I might switch over to the Aura Paladin to try to do the rest of the climb.
Yeah, it looks like it's like 13 to 15% popularity.
Yeah. The Mech
and maybe if I even just look at like past day, it's almost 20% popularity in Diamond, and Diamond through Legend overall 17.5% popularity over the past day. So yeah, people are gonna, and still positive with that, people are definitely gonna try to counter it. But one could still argue that, like, it might not be, even if something doesn't have the greatest win rate, doesn't necessarily mean that it's not kind of a scammy deck, which this is, and B, it's not necessarily meta warping in that, like, control decks are having to run tech cards about it, for example, and then you have like the aggro race, can we get under the Chemspell Tortola?
Yeah, I'm surprised that it's this low. It's actually only like at Diamond 1, which is kind of where the try-hardiest of the try-hards are going to be, because Legend on HS Replay at least includes everybody. But Diamond 1 is generally like, that's where things stop being polite and start getting real. Then Dummy Warrior is like 11.5%, which is a lot lower than I thought it was going to be honest. Like, usually and I haven't really run into as many mirrors as I expected to run into. And Quest Warlock is like 10.5%. Or almost 11% at that rank, which is
I have been seeing a decent amount. I just sort of hit Diamond doing my climb, and I think for some people it's like, it's an old deck that they already have, they know works. Not everybody likes figuring out new decks, and not everybody bought a pre-order, has all the new cards, or wants to craft on day one. But yeah, it is frustrating running into so many quest locks. And it does seem like quest lock, but I mean, you know, listener, if you're somebody who likes playing an older deck in an early expansion, that is something that will probably do well for you, as will Aggro Demon Hunter. as will just like an old Control DK. You can also make a newer Control DK, but the old one will probably be fine. There's quite a few older things you can play and do well with right now.
Yeah.
But it's also, I wouldn't take that as evidence of like I think this expansion is already making more waves than Lost City did. And this is something where a lot of these cards were in like less neat packages. We still have refinement to happen. And again, we don't know, but they definitely seemed pretty reticent about balancing quests. They might not be as reticent about balancing to push this set. We'll have to see.
Yeah. I mean, they were definitely scared of quests, right? And I don't think that they're as scared of the things that are in this set. Though that said, it doesn't feel like there are things. I mean, there are probably things that could use buffs, but it's hard to tell right now. But it just feels like there's a couple of outliers. One is just the same couple of decks that people are just they play against for 4 months. Maybe we could take a break from those. And then one that was also being played and just got super degenerate in a way that's pretty uninteractive. And that's the kind of deck, like Mech Warrior in particular is the kind of deck when it's degenerate and uninteractive, that's the kind of deck that's going to get killed with fire when the next balance patch comes around. Most likely. Again, I don't know anything, but I would not be surprised at that point. Like, that just seems like the kind of deck that they don't have a problem with nerfing into the ground.
Yeah, I think that's true. And then, there are some things that are kind of disappointing in their win rate, like Reform Lock, Arcane Mage.
Reform Lock is... I would be shocked if that got above 50%, though. And I think that's okay. Like, I think...
It would be so popular if it was if it did well.
A deck like that, like, this is like a Burgle Rogue, where you don't need to make it good for people to want to play it, right? Like, I think that's the thing, is that decks don't... Just because a deck is sub 50% win rate doesn't make it a bad deck or a design failure if people still want to play it, even if it's not going to let them climb to Legend. And I think it's okay for those decks to exist, as long as we're not constantly buffing those to make them competitively viable. And this is where, again, it'll be interesting to see, given that Standard is the only place we can use these cards, for the most part, if the final design team will show restraint in not buffing up cards that are intended to be in less competitive decks like Reform.
I mean, to be fair, Reform Lock could improve 5% and still be tier 3. Like, it is like 40% right now.
and it could improve 5% by just not
low.
getting murdered by Mech Warriors too, right? Like, that's the thing that could potentially happen. Like, just taking the strongest decks down a peg could give it enough of a boost to make it like a viable meme deck, which is it is a meme deck. Like, that's the whole, like, it's a million reforms. Like, it doesn't have to be good. It's fine.
Yeah, and we're pointing out people play Quest Mage, and Quest Mage is only like, so past day, Diamond through Legend on an HS replay, Quest Mage is slightly under 45%.
Good.
So, and we don't want that one to be super meta either.
Yeah.
At least most of us don't. Sorry to Quest Mage players.
I'm fine with people playing those decks as long as I'm not running into them when I'm trying to actually climb the ladder and have like a, serious games of Hearthstone. I think there's a place for those things. And I don't think that it necessarily, we need to buff those decks necessarily. But I mean, and Quest Mage did get buffed anyway. Yeah.
Edel is pointing out in the chat that she thinks Quest Mage got better because of the arcane spells from the past. I did see someone doing that. It could also be that like people haven't caught up to better builds yet.
Because that discovers twice too. Does that count? That counts the quest twice, doesn't it?
It counts as twice, yeah. And then often you get something that discovers itself.
Yeah.
That's free now. I did have a Quest Mage opponent discover, like, what was it? The absolutely 2 best cards from Wild that they could have gotten. One was the deal 2 damage and honorable kill. I had like 2 minions out.
Oh god, that one. Yeah. And it goes back in your hand. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what the other one was, but it killed my other minion and like discovered for them or something. It was I can't remember which spell it was.
Sure.
Something else that they really wanted to have happen, and I was like, okay, good job.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we will. There is a wide tier 2.
Yeah, and we'll talk about all those things. We got a little bit of news to talk about, and then we'll get back to vibing about decks because
Yes.
that's basically the rest of the episode. But let's get a little bit of news out of the way first, shall we?
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
Okay, so and there's not really a whole lot of news this week. There are a couple of known issues that are there from the patch. A lot of them were, with an expansion launch, a lot of those get cleared up during the pre-release brawl. The main ones that you do want to be aware of, there's an issue where the ranked rewards, which are the packs you get when you clear a particular tier on ladder, like when you go from like bronze 5 and silver 1, etc. Those are giving Lost City of Un'Goro packs instead of Across the Timeways packs. They are aware of that. They're going to fix that. I don't think anybody really wants more Lost City of Un'Goro packs at this point, so that would not be a motivating factor to get you to keep climbing ladder. There's a bug with being able to acquire golden hero powers and portraits from 500 wins. And playing Deadline, which is the temporary spell that destroys a minion in Warlock, does not advance the Warlock quest. Doesn't seem like the Warlock quest has a whole lot of trouble with advancing without that, but just be aware that is a thing that's happening. The other news, and we got news within the news for this, is that BlizzCon tickets are on sale as we are recording this tomorrow, November 7th. So this is going to be the early bird sale for BlizzCon. Again, BlizzCon is... the dates are September 12th to 13th, 2026 in Anaheim, which is a Saturday and a Sunday. Normally it's Friday and Saturday. This time it's Saturday and Sunday. The early bird sale will be happening from November 7th to November 9th, assuming that supplies stay available, for $249 for the base ticket. That includes your 2-day admission, whatever commemorative items they throw in, and they usually have a virtual ticket as well that has some stuff, some in-game cosmetics as well. If you miss that will, starting on Tuesday, November 18th, you'll be able to buy a ticket for $289.99. Again, same ticket, gets all the same admission. It's just a little bit more expensive. There is also a charity night bundle benefiting Make-A-Wish that's going to give you access to an exclusive charity event with Blizzard developers, artists, and community. You will get reserved seating at the opening ceremony, and you'll get some signed Blizzard artwork. And I don't know what a collectible credential is, but it's probably good to redeem for something like that. And there's also a Dark Moon Fair After Hours add-on that you can get to, which is $89.99 on top of whatever ticket you buy, which is going to get you entry to an exclusive event in the Dark Moon Fair and the BlizzCon store. Note, this is not the Dark Moon Fair in Hearthstone. It might be just as expensive, but it is not. It's not a gacha game necessarily. And then 20 fair tokens for the actual gacha games that are in the Dark Moon Fair, probably, and a collectible credential. So it's a late night. They say it's a late night treat for those who wish to extend their stay. It's a 3-hour event Saturday evening, September 12th. In both the Dark Moon Fair and the BlizzCon store. And then they get 20 fair tokens and a collectible credential. They don't say what that is.
The last time that we had a BlizzCon, I think there was a fair which the line was so long to get in that I didn't bother investigating. But it seemed like it had like booths where you could like win things, and other places where you could purchase stuff.
They had those machines like you see in like the entryway to a supermarket where you put money in or a coin and then you twist the thing and a capsule comes out. That's basically what they had, a lot of it. So I wouldn't be surprised. if that's the same
Yeah,
thing.
it was that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. There are some tidbits about what we can expect. Opening ceremony, obviously, will be there. There's going to be hands-on gameplay for World of Warcraft, Diablo 2, Overwatch 2, Hearthstone, and Diablo Immortal. The Blizzard Arcade is going to be back. That was there in 2019. I don't think it was there in 2023. This was an area where they had all of the old games set up. You could go play like Lost Vikings or Rock and Roll Racing or whatever, and it's free play, and you can just go in and play those. Developer panels, multiple stages, new classic stage in the Blizzard Arcade. I don't know what that's going to have. Maybe they'll have some people talking about old games. That's fine. There's going to be community night. There's going to be esports, and the big thing that we are interested in is that they do mention the Hearthstone Masters Tour World Championship. So it sounds like we are going to be getting an IRL Worlds again for the first time since 2019. And having been at the one in 2019, that was a hell of a lot of fun. So it is going to be very cool if we can get another IRL World Championship, because quite frankly, we ran out of things to do in 2023. And if we could have spent all of the second day just sitting in the tavern and watching Hearthstone esports, I think we would have been happy as clams, to be perfectly honest. So
yeah, even for people who are assuming that this does mean in-person worlds at BlizzCon, even for people who are watching at home, there's just so much more energy.
Oh yeah.
Watching an in-person tournament. And as someone who never went to an in-person tournament, I am really hoping that I can have that
experience.
But I just remember watching the old tournaments. There's a different level of energy when you're not just seeing the competitors in their bedrooms. So.
Yeah, it was incredible, especially given that was the year that Lion won the world championship. It was absolutely incredible being there and being able to watch that, and you got goosebumps from it. It was very, very cool. And hearing the casters, who are sitting there right off to the side of the stage, right there. It's very cool. I mean, and I'm sure it's good for the competitors too to actually hear people cheering. I imagine through through whatever white noise that they have going through their headphones, but you kind of feel it. I would imagine. I've never been in that position. I don't think I ever will, but the energy's got to be something different than just sitting in your bedroom and jamming games.
Yeah, well, it makes it an event for people, and I think what I appreciated most about BlizzCon 2023 was getting to meet people, and I was new to Concede at the time, and still anxious about being new to Concede, but it was really good to be able to just make the online community into a more in-person community, and that adds a whole bunch of other things to do, because and it looks like there might be more stages and more stuff going on at those, and the cosplay contest for the community night and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, March of the Murlocs will be back, so yeah, it's if you haven't been to a BlizzCon, it is something. It is definitely if you're in this community, it is really energizing. I've really missed it for the last couple of years, so it will be pretty cool to get it back, and having esports there in person is a big deal. So that's gonna be something to look forward to.
It looks like there's a new content. They mentioned that at the Hearthstone Tavern. So basically, the way that it has worked in the past is that there's different halls in the convention center, and the biggest one goes to Warcraft, and obviously a lot of that is World of Warcraft, but then there's a whole big section that's the Hearthstone Tavern, and it looks like there will be a new content stage at the tavern, which could be great. Yeah.
Hey, maybe there will be an opportunity for live podcasts there. Who knows?
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. But I'm not saying anything's happening. I'm saying it would be cool if it did. I'm not hinting at anything, to be very clear.
This is not happening for almost a year, guys. So we don't know what the plan is yet.
Yeah. So that's the news, but that's a ways away, and we have decks you can play right now, so we should go ahead and talk about those.
All right. Well, because we, and especially I, cannot be contained, we already kind of started doing this in Life and Ladder. But what we wanted to do was just do an overview of the day 2.5 meta that we have right now as we're recording, with, of course, the caveat that things always change. But we had kind of organized our discussion into a few different categories. There were sort of new decks with positive win rates, modified old decks with positive win rates that had to feature at least 2 different new cards and a somewhat different playstyle because of it, for the most part. We listed some old decks with positive win rates that you can just jam if you want. And we'll mention some new stuff that, at least for now, does not have a positive win rate, or at least the archetype as a whole. Sometimes it might be an issue of like people haven't caught up to a good build yet. It might be not working in the meta, or maybe it's just a bad deck. It is hard to tell at this point.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning, like, we're 2 days in. This is a fairly significant expansion. It's pretty clear that there is more to brew than there was with, say, Lost City of Ungoro. So it can take some time for some things to come together, particularly the slower decks. I mean, if your slower deck is taking the Leech Death Knight Shell and just throwing in Talanji and Bwonsamdi, that's not as hard, right? But if you're trying to brew like a new control deck from scratch, you need to know what you're countering, and that may also need to wait until some of the things like Mech Warrior get out of the way, because Mech Warrior is kind of an anti-control deck in a way, so it's pretty hard. I guess it's not that hard because Edel's saying that she's doing it, but it's it is harder to counter something like that and the rest of the meta all at the same time. So that might take a little bit longer to come together, but so there's things to keep an eye out for. But there are definitely some new things to do, and even some things that are better with the new cards. We're not going to spend a lot of time on the decks that are still viable, that we're viable for. We'll probably just tick them off, and like, we're probably, other than maybe a couple of Edel's concoctions, we're probably not going to talk through the stuff that's still developing. But that gives us, we may cover them on a future episode if they develop into a point that they get meta relevant. But I think we're going to focus on the things that are good now, so that you can, whether or not you're interested in climbing, right? At least if you're able to play things that have a puncher's chance, because it's not fun to play something new that loses a lot. So at least you'll have, these are things that you can play that will give you a puncher's chance. And there's a pretty good variety, all things considered.
Yeah. Wicked Tic Tac is now in the chat saying that he's got a nice control priest for you.
Oh,
and he's happy with the list.
I mean, Tic Tac knows that I'm very baitable. Yeah, feel free to send it, Tic Tac. I may need to get myself to Legend with Mech Warrior before people catch on to be able to mess around, but I will definitely be interested, and I would like to subscribe to your newsletter.
Just had to point that out before we get properly started.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So,
and I will make sure to mention it next week, if assuming that I get a chance to play it, because that is very relevant to my interests.
Edelweiss is saying she's facing someone with a brilliant strategy of tutoring Kingslayer and putting +2/+2 on it. Yes, Weapon Rogue.
Weapon Rogue is a thing.
Be a thing.
We've got it on the list. We will get there.
We will get there. Real quick, just some decks that you can still play that are old. Control DK. A new one or an old one. Quest Warlock. I've seen some people add Tachyon Barrage, but you don't have to. Egglock, Beast Hunter, Protoss Priest, Armor, Demon Hunter. I wish that wasn't on the list, but it is. Aggro Demon Hunter, which could add the Serpent, but otherwise it's basically just Aggro Demon Hunter, Aggro Paladin, and Owl Druid, which, interestingly, for people who aren't Edel, has been performing better so far without the new Fabled card on Aegis Guru. Don't know if that'll stay that way, if people have figured it out yet, but in aggregate, older Owl Druid seems to perform better than new Owl Druid for now. Okay.
I will say, as degenerate as Mech Warrior is, it was delightful blowing away a Starship Death Knight, a Starship Demon Hunter that was just sitting there and threw all of their armor, and it didn't matter. That was absolutely fantastic. Anyway, but that's neither here nor there. We're not here to talk about that. So.
So some new decks with positive win rates. We had started to mention Aura Paladin. This, of course, the centerpiece is Gelbin of Tomorrow. It looks like the particular list that you pulled for. So we have a deck sheet in the show notes with some examples. These are not necessarily the be-all end-all list. We were just trying to pull ones that are representative with a decent sample size and a positive win rate. This particular one has Fyrak because you do. I suppose that works because the Ursine Maul will still guaranteed draw you Gelbin.
Yeah.
Because you get 2 swings with it. And this one is doing Elise things because Elise is good. Oh, interesting. This particular list, I don't think this is the standard list, but this is an interesting list.
This is Cantaloupe's list. Yeah.
This is Cantaloupe. Okay. It is running Puppet Master Dorian. I guess because if you Ursine Maul on 4 and then wait, and then Puppet Master Dorian on 5, you can get a 1-mana Fyrak and a 1-mana Gelbin. In addition,
oh no! What you do is you play the weapon, right? You swing, you draw Fyrak. Then on 5, you play Dorian, and you swing with the weapon that's already equipped, and then you get a 1-mana Gelbin.
Okay.
That's actually really clever.
That is really clever. Yes. And this is also running Tigress Plushie and Crusader Aura. Crusader Aura wasn't in the one that I was running, but it probably should have been. And this one's running a little more early game than I was doing, like with Creature of Madness. Chronological Aura, at the end of your turn, summon a 3/5 dragon with Taunt. This just, like, solid. That is a solid card.
Yeah, I do like this. I think Maureen was playing on my stream, was playing with one of the lists that we found early, and that was playing like Crafter's Aura. And that just felt really awkward. That's the one that summons a 6-drop at the end of your turn that costs 7. And that felt really awkward. And I do like bringing the overall curve of the deck down and then focusing the power at the top end and just like Fyrak, Gelbin, Anachronos. And basically like the things that you need to play in order to get. You're running a Wisp just for Elise purposes, it looks like. Because you don't want to go all the way up to... you don't want to go anything above Gelbin. You want to make sure that you're getting Gelbin with one of the weapons. So you don't want to run like Ceaseless Expanse or anything like that. But so you're running Wisp for Elise purposes, but that's fine. Like it's just one Wisp. It's not going to kill you. And like if you have a Crusader Aura, it can still be a real minion.
Or even just like with Gelbin's auras, it could be a Wisp that gets given +4/+4 in Divine Shield.
It's fine. Seems good.
Suddenly it's not so bad. So I like this list, and I like the idea of you can get the Gelbin out on 6 with Dorian.
Or even 5 with the coin. And you're running O Manager and Metal Detector also to get it out faster.
Yes. Yeah, because Gelbin is really a centerpiece of the deck. You Gelbin, and then it's hard even for a control deck to deal with that 3 turns in a row. And then you're just really... This is a little bit more aggressive with pushing the damage, and I think that's probably correct, because you sort of need to win from your Gelbin.
Yeah.
And I could see Fyrak being good, A, for Elise, and B, for just like a little bit of extra damage if you need it at the end. So
turns out Fyrak's a good card. Who knew?
Who knew?
Yeah.
I remember when we were first seeing Fyrak and everyone was debating about how much damage it was going to go face, which was less at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I was right back then, because it was mostly draw and not as much face damage. That has definitely changed since, at least since Lost City of Rangoro came out.
That has changed. Yeah, you were not wrong, but I was trying to figure out how I could like make a program to model it, and then gave up because I don't have time for that. But I did discover that Visual Studio Code's Copilot AI knows about Hearthstone because it knew that I was writing code related to Hearthstone without me telling it, and when I made a fire spell class, it auto-suggested several classic fire spells with the correct mana cost and damage. So anyway...
You have at least one student who's doing computer science, right? You need to save these things for them as an assignment, and then have them build it.
I really need a computer science student who likes card games.
Yeah.
I have not yet had a student into Hearthstone. I've only had students whose parents were into Hearthstone. Someone told me that who was math tutoring, that she had a student who was into Magic the Gathering and she wanted to use that but didn't know how. I was like, please tell me the details of this when you can, because I have a whole Discord server worth of people who would be delighted to relate Magic the Gathering to literally any math.
Oh yeah,
ever.
How many lands do you need to put in your commander deck has been an argument for as long as I've been playing Commander. So yeah, write a program to settle it. There you go. That's it.
That's it. Done. So I will have to pester this person again and be like, do you still need advice? Because I'm serious. We would be thrilled.
Would you like several 100 pounds of bulk?
But yeah, this Aura Paladin deck is one of the more sort of new and different things. I'm a little sad that we're not using Ido like we were in the Brawl, but I kind of get it.
Even in the Brawl, Ido felt kind of mid for me, at least. It was there because you could run it, but it never felt great to me. I think I don't think we're running the one who extends the auras either in this deck, which is not super surprising. But, I would have thought that it would made at least an initial cut and then get cut later. But it was
in the initial list that I was playing with. But it looks
seems
like
quick for it to have gotten cut already, but I guess maybe not.
It might also just be different lists. So if I look at a broader range of lists.
I mean, this was the highest win rate list that I saw. So this is the one that you probably want to be running. And we'll have a link to the sheet in the show notes if I remember to link it, which I probably should do.
I already did. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
It is in there. It is.
So we have a deck sheet from Donkey's site with all of the decks that we're talking about today.
This is both on HS Guru. It is both the highest win rate and one of the highest, if not the highest, sample size, which tells you it really is good because usually it's small sample size that can get the highest win rate, right? So it has 2,865 games as of right this second.
With a 58% win rate, 58.5% win rate. So that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. All right. Well, so that is definitely a good option. I will try out with those changes and hopefully have a little more success. I think those will help. Bwonsamdi / Heron Death Rattle Death Knight is, of course, different. Oh, one last thing on the Aura Paladin. Edel is saying that she thinks when Mech Warrior goes away, Aura Paladin will be a big winner.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. It's probably if you want to invest your time into a deck that's unlikely to get hit with a nerf hammer and will probably be well positioned after a set of balance changes, this is the one I would spend time learning.
Yeah. And that, obviously if you have limited dust, you always want to be careful of crafting so soon after an expansion, but it seems like a pretty safe craft, especially because, Gelbin himself seems like he might be one of the things that would be hit if they, I don't know. It depends on how much dust you have, but if you just want to focus on one deck, that's not a bad choice. So the Bwonsamdi Death Knight, this is kind of a Heron deck. It's you have several different death rattles, and your top end has Bwonsamdi, Exarch Maladar, Travel Security, which is the 6-mana 2/2 taunt death rattle, summon a random 8-cost minion. Umbra, High Cultist Heron, who's the one who summons 2 death rattle minions from your deck and has them fight. Stitch Giants and Awakener of Souls, which is the taunt Reborn death rattle, resurrect a friendly death rattle minion. It's also running Ancient Raptor, which is the 2-mana 2/1 that can get death rattle, summon 2 1/1 plants. But don't worry, that does not mess up your Awakener of Souls because the base minion does not have death rattle. It's just a thing you can choose to add to it. So it's just a good way to get corpses.
It has to have death rattle. I mean, this technically has death rattle written on the card, but it's in a battle cry. It has to have death rattle on the base card, not granted to it by an effect. Yeah.
So it is actually fine. It's kind of like I kept thinking that I couldn't run the Growfin in something with Paintfin to try to draw a rush minion, and then I realized, I was told by Stickowish in our Discord, and then had to tell several other people myself, no, Grofin doesn't have rush. The thing it summons has rush. Okay. So this deck is trying to resurrect various Death Rattle things, of which Bonsomdi is one. And I've usually been seeing people give him rush when they give him a boon. And you can sometimes then get back Bonsomdies or have him be pulled out of your deck by Heron, but you're also not unhappy with also having travel security there gives it so you have more Death Rattle minions. I did have one game that I played with this. I played a couple of games with this where Bonsomdi summoned the 6/4 that has a Death Rattle because when you play it, its battle cry discovers a spell.
Oh, yeah. Oh, why am I the Dr. Stitch and So, I think?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Dr. Stitch and So, whose Death Rattle does nothing if you didn't actually play him.
Yeah.
And then I kept resurrecting
great, yeah.
Dr. Stitch and So's, and it was very disappointing.
No.
But that is not the usual. So don't not play this deck just because I told this story. It's even though we have a pretty high top end, it's still a fairly proactive deck, I would say. Early game, you're just trying to get as many corpses as possible, basically, and draw through your deck. And then as soon as possible, you want to be starting to get your big stuff down turn 6 at the latest, get something down with Exarch Maladar. Not at the latest, but turn 6 would be good to start getting your big stuff down. Or you're just playing Bonsomdi, or you're playing a travel security if you don't have Maladar. And you drop your Stitch Giants when you can.
You really only have Pterodax, Corpse Explosion, and is that it to spawn corpses?
Maladar.
And Maladar.
It was not that hard to get the Stitch Giants down because of Maladar. And you do have a tutor for Maladar in Troubled Mechanic.
Right, because Maladar is a Draenei, so Troubled Mechanic. Yeah, that seems really cute. I don't know how I feel about that. There may be some. I think this was the highest win rate, but maybe not the highest games played list. So I mean, it's a high win rate deck, so it's doing something. There's probably some room to optimize even a little bit more over that, because Stitch Giant seems like there are probably better things we could do with that card slot than Stitch Giant. But you also are running Elise, so you need either a 9 and Stitch Giant, or you need Ceaseless Expanse to fill the curve in for Elise purposes, or run a Wisp, I guess, which is also bad. So I don't know if any of those are going to be better than just a Stitch Giant. But
there is a positive win rate deck with 1,000 games. It's a 55% that is running the Narrowlex Ysera.
Yeah, I mean,
package.
Ysera is the other answer,
Ziliax.
right? Yeah, Ysera is the other answer. Because that's the 9 of last resort, basically. So yeah, or you could run Ziliax too. Yeah,
Ziliax, I think I would almost rather just run Ziliax, maybe just because on principle I'm kind of done with the whole Narrowlex package. But the Stitch Giant didn't actually feel that bad to me, because they didn't come down super early, but once you played Maladar, then they were free, or you could pay a little bit after you put down a reanimated Pterodax. And we do have a lot of way to gain corpses. So, but I could see the argument for trying cutting them, and maybe doing Ziliax and or Fyrakk in that spot. So for all of these newer decks, there are room for improvement. But this deck, I think I was a little colored against it because of that one Dr. Stitch and So game. But for the most part, it can be pretty satisfying when you get a sort of chain of Death Rattles going. I definitely saw people having effective chains against me. I had one game where I was playing that Protoss Druid, and they just kept having taunts, and they kept getting taunts out of their travel security. And in one time, the travel security's taunt also gave them a taunt, and Bonsomdi also gave them a taunt. So I did finally win that game, but only because they couldn't clear my 55 health minion with 40 attack, but they did get me down to 1 first. So I was sitting there it's taunts within taunts. It's like a Matryoshka doll of taunts within taunts.
I basically avoided this just because, again, I've played enough Death Knight that I wanted to play literally anything else. But I've seen it plenty, and it's effective when it gets going. It does take a little time to get going, but not that long. and being able to get Maladar on demand if you can make enough corpses, which I guess is also why you're running Ancient Raptor to kind of juice your corpse count early.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what it is there for. I'm almost surprised some decks are running like a Living Paradox for the same reason, but not all of them.
That's the one that summons the 3/2/1 elusives.
Yeah, the 3/2/1s. Yeah.
See it.
Just because it's 3 corpses. So we have Proby1 in the chat saying that he would rather run Demolition Renovator and Ziliax, and there is a list on here, Proby1, that does exactly that with also Fyrak. That is 54.8% win rate. So I mean, it's all effective.
I'd probably rather run a Viper than a Demolition Renovator in this meta, but yeah, to kill boom wrenches.
This is, early meta is the kind of time where thinking about what's your pocket meta, what are you seeing, and just like tweaking decks. I know not everybody feels super comfortable doing that, but this is the time that's like more forgiving to just kind of tweak decks. You can take a look at what cards are different between different builds on stat sites, and those are ones that are safer to cut probably. You shouldn't cut a card if you don't know what it's there for, if possible. You want to kind of understand the deck. You don't want to be us on Theory Crafting a few expansions ago where we cut the Playhouse Giants because we didn't know what they were there for. So know what they're there for before you cut it. But generally, if you look at multiple different builds of a deck and you can kind of see what's not there, that's what's safe to play around with. If you're not a super big deck builder in general. Okay, Shred's Luck. There are definitely different builds of this. It looks like this is also... this was first streamed by Tito Santana and peaked by Cantaloupe. So this build that we have in the deck sheet is using the sort of Death Knight Tourist package. There were also builds that are not doing that I have seen, that maybe are like slightly smaller like count of games that are doing like a Zergling package or sometimes both. I was trying out one with a pain package, but having a pain package and this does hit you in the face awful hard.
Yeah, and you can't control when you're going to take the damage like you can in the pain lock. I think that's the big difference. Like, you can't necessarily just run Hearthstone and undo it all because you don't know when you're going to take that damage, aside from like the 3 damage that you're going to get from playing the big cast your shreds cards. So the things that you do to mitigate the damage in pain lock doesn't really work as well here.
Yeah. So that was the first game that I played today, and my event quest was to take damage 100 times, plus 1 ranked, so 50 times, plus 1 if I took the damage on my own turn, and I completed it in 1 game.
Well,
I took
so what
much
you're
damage,
saying,
most of it my own.
So what you're saying is that I am doing a public service by playing Mech Warrior because I'm helping people clear half their quest in one go.
Or all of the quest if they took the full 50. Yeah. In ranked, yes. If they all have the same daily as me, then and it was their first game of the day, then yes, you have done them a favor, I guess.
So if you've run into me in ladder, you're welcome.
Yeah, and it even looks like maybe Flame Imp is in a lot of these, but it even looks like Flame Imp like might not be
still a 1 mana 3/2. Like,
it's a 1 mana 3/2, but with a -3% mulligan impact. You don't want Flame Imp to have a negative in the mulligan. It's a 1-drop.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But it is still in most of the lists, at least for now. But we've got Gift Wrap Whelp, because we have a lot of the new Shreds things are dragons, if not all of them. Petal Peddler, Dreadhound Handler, Corpsicle, because we're getting a lot of corpses, and it just does damage. Zerglings. Going wide is great for Entropic Continuity, which is the new 1 mana give your minions +1/+1 that shuffles 2 shreds of time into your deck, and that card is real good.
Yeah.
I had some real crazy, like, turn 2, like, turn 1, I went, like, Flame Imp, Coin, Gift Wrap, Whelp, turn 2, Zergling, Entropic Continuity. Good luck.
That seems good. Yeah. Yep.
This particular list is running Party Planner Vona. I've definitely seen debate over whether we want to be running Party Planner Vona, but that's the 6-drop, 6 mana 4/4 Battlecry. If you've taken 8 damage on your turn, summon Ouroboros. It is not running Chronogar, despite the fact that I picked Chronogar for card you think is underrated. That I don't think that card was underrated, but I think Shred's Luck is good.
Yeah.
Just maybe not Chronogar. Just the 4 mana 7/7 lifesteal. Do note that lifesteal is like delayed, so it can heal you up a lot, but it's not going to save you instantly.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like how Amanthul back in the day could not actually directly heal you instantly. It was a super good card, but sometimes I wanted it to heal me instantly, and that's just not what it did. So same with Fate Breaker. But you do have the pair of 5/5 rushes, which is pretty good. And you're just 2 mana 4/4 that enables those two. And yeah, if you just want to hit people in the face in a different way than we've been hitting people in the face, this is a good option.
And Summoner Dark Marrow is here just to give you access to Corpsicle.
Yes.
It's not doing anything, any death rattly things. It's just here to give you access to Corpsicle, and that's enough of a reason to run it. Just like in Quest.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I think we've seen Dark Marrow serve that purpose more than any other purpose.
He is the touristiest of tourists, I think, because like most of the other tourists, you generally get some value out of them on their own. I actually saw someone running ham in a mech warrior, I think just for the mirror. Just to try to eat Dios or one of the other minions.
Oh yeah, I saw someone doing that. I assumed it had just been for the New Heights that they also played.
They might. Oh, that's
but
true. They were probably also playing New Heights, but I mean, it's pretty good in the mirror to try to eat Dios or Testing Dummy.
Sometimes some people are doing like Royal Librarian techs. That would be good against the Tortola, as well as if you can't. It doesn't really stop the combo so much from a mech warrior, but it could be good in multiple matchups. And if you can't, if you survive somehow against the 4/8 and you can't clear it, then you can silence it. But yeah, this Shred's Lock is kind of just a Zoolock. If you are a Zoolock fan, then give this one a go. We have what HS Guru was calling Masochist Shaman. I was calling it Enraged Shaman.
I do. I mean, it's better than what we were calling the Druid, so I'll take that. But yeah, yeah, the Masochist Shaman is kind of appropriate because you're just hitting your minions with spells, and Flux Revenant, it does take over a game if it comes down early. It's a lot of health, and if it starts getting buffed, it is really, really hard to deal with. I don't know why that has 4 health naturally. That seems like a mistake, honestly, because it's even, especially because you're already running Static Shock to be able to buff it up. I don't understand why just like a base Flux Revenant already has more health on 2 than most things can deal out that early. And if it sticks, it becomes a 7/7 in almost no time. So, but that's a lot of what you're trying to do. But you've also got, you've got your usual menagerie of things. You're running, Pop-Up Book is good. Lightning, you're running all the cards that are in the set that are targeting things. You're running Space Pirate to discount the High King's Hammer, which is a card I forgot about, but that's a pretty good tech that you can run in there. So you're running Cookie, because why not? You're running, because you're also running Paraglide to get more draw. Is that the only Death Knight card that you're running? Or are we running we're running the Location also. So you're running the location, and you're running skirting death, and you're running paraglide. So you're running cookie for those, and then you have 2 weapons attendants at the top end, which are the 6 mana 6/4 pirate. That if you control another pirate, you equip a random weapon from your deck. The only weapon you have in your deck is High King's Hammer. So you basically swing with it, you break it, and then ideally you're like leaving the location up so that you can just press the location, have a pirate, play the weapons attendant, get the weapon back.
Yeah. This is somewhat similar to what I was theory crafting, but I think this build is more successful than what I had. So yeah, it's looking at I went to check what was high win rate on HS Replay, and interestingly, there was like a very big difference in what is the highest win rate deck on HS Replay and HS Guru on that. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, this particular list. Yeah, there's just a lot of different ways to benefit from Wind Fury. And then, yeah, it turns out that instead of going all in on the pirates and having a lot of pirates, that having the Flex Revenant is just good.
Yeah. It's worth noting, this has a positive win rate against all but 3 classes, and 2 of those are Death Knight and Warrior at 41.6 and 41.3 respectively. That's not necessarily where you want to be in this meta. You're basically saying, I'm going to give up my games against the two most prevalent classes in the meta, and I'm going to win against everything else, which is a strategy. Don't get me wrong. It's not. I'm not even being snarky. It is a strategy to say, I'm just going to take my losses against those decks and beat everything else. But you need to be mentally prepared for that you're going to have a bunch of uphill climbs against Warriors and Death Knights with this deck. They're not unbeatable, but Warrior just makes a lot of armor, and you're not necessarily getting through all of it with this deck if you're just kind of trying to hit them with weapons.
And Tortola is a problem, and you're not fast enough. So, like Shred Warlock, now I'm looking at HS Replay's matchups tab. Shred Warlock is good against Dummy Warrior, I think, because sometimes it's just so fast.
Yeah.
That it gets under them even if they Tortola. Quest Warrior, interestingly, is actually good against Dummy Warrior.
Oh, they're teching for it, right?
Because they're teching for it?
Yeah, they're playing Dirty Rats, and a Tortola opposing the Mech Warrior shuts that down hard. Because it effectively heals them for up 30 of the, well, I guess 25 of that damage, right? Because they're getting armor instead of the damage, so whatever's hitting Tortola is effectively getting canceled out. So you can do the same things to try to get the Tortola out early. That will just shut the Mech Warrior down. So there is a way to build the Quest Warrior to do that. But you're also probably making yourself worse against other decks in the meta.
Yeah. Rafam Warlock loses real hard to Dummy Warrior. That is a 75% matchup for the Dummy Warrior.
I mean, Rafam Warlock loses to anything with a heart rate.
It does lose to everything, but it is kind of funny. Protoss Priest loses hard. Rogue tends to have a favorable matchup. Aura Paladin has a favorable matchup, and the most favorable matchup I see here is Egg Warlock. So I guess you outscan them. It breaks the eggs for you.
Well, I mean, the thing is that you only break one of the eggs you're going to break one egg per activation. So each one of those 8 damage chunks is going to kill an egg, and then you have a 20/20 left behind that you can't get through. So, and especially if they only have like 2 ticks left, then you have to run your face into a 20/20 in order to break the 1 attack weapon, which you don't really want to do. And if you're not actually killing them after that, then they just run over you with whatever's left.
So if you particularly want to get the Mech Warriors, I know that's a little off topic, but that is what those are some of the things that you can play. What HS Replay is calling Enhancement Shaman or Masochist Shaman, or whatever we want to call it, is probably not the best warrior killing, but it is, I think, if we hit Warrior, it'll probably be positioned to be a lot stronger. And it's definitely playable. Interestingly, the list that's highest win rate on HS Replay has 1,500 games on HS Replay and like a 58% win rate Diamond through Legend. And it's Turbulus instead of Cookie, and it's doing like the Storm Rook thing. That's the one that summons 5 cost minions. It has Hex. And it's just like the super sort of nature-y build. On HS Guru, it only has like 150 games and a negative win rate. So
okay,
I guess they're sampling different people.
It is either good or bad.
You can try and find out for yourselves. Last one here. There was a no-hand hunter. It's not as good as just old Beast Hunter, it appears, but it is different than old Beast Hunter, and it is still good. It's basically just a aggro hunter that's also running Neri. Neri is a huge part of it. And it's running the Sylvanas Fabled package, and nothing is higher than 3 except for RC Rampage, because RC Rampage is good. This deck was first streamed by Rise Was Here. So the idea is you have some burn that can get doubled by Neri. You have some 1-drops that can get doubled by Neri. Precise Shot that's the one that if it's exactly in the center of your hand, it deals 5 instead of 3, which it does normally. Rock Skipper gives you more damage. It's just like some burn and some things on the board, and you just try to smork through them quickly that way. It is still negative against Death Knight and Warrior.
Yep. So that's kind of a trend, right? That, again, you have a bunch of decks. I mean, it's got incredible win rates against everything else, like 82% into Paladin, 83% into Mage, 70% into Rogue and Shaman, like 69% nice into Demon Hunter, like everything else except for Warlock, Warrior, and Death Knight. And again, Warrior and Death Knight are like 42%, 43%. So it's not even like it's close. 40% is pretty bad in general as far as win rates go. So it's as bad as it would be in a non-auto win situation against those two decks. So, and those are most of the games. I mean, you're looking at just this one that we're looking at on HS Guru is like 743 games, but the three classes that it's bad against is like 375 of that. So it's like half of the games. So you're basically coin flipping. Am I going to run into a deck I hate, or am I going to run into a deck that I hate against?
Yeah, so it is somewhat polarized. I'm checking how polarized Beast Hunter is here. The Beast Hunter seems to be a lot less polarized. It doesn't like seeing Death Knights, but it's not terrible against them, 44.8%. And it's actually fine into the Warriors and the Warlocks, and it's really strong into most of the other classes. So if you want to play Aggro Hunter, you're probably better off with Beast Hunter, but if you want to try something different, you can definitely do No Hand Hunter. And then we have, so that's like the sort of newer, like the whole archetype is somewhat new decks with positive win rates that we see so far. Modified old decks, we already talked about Mech Warrior, so I don't think we
don't need to talk about Mech Warrior
the whole time.
We don't need to talk about Mech. We'll just say McBanterface was the first one to stream this version. It's very good. We've talked about it enough. We can move on. Weapon
Rogue, which Edelweiss had run into. This deck is just basically noticing the Kingslayer part of the Fabled is a 2-mana 3/2 weapon. After your hero attacks, both players draw a legendary card. That's just pretty good when you buff the weapon with, say, Swarthy Sword Shiner that sets the attack and durability of your weapon to 3, so you can swing and then get another 3 swings after you play Swarthy Sword Shiner. Deadly Poison, of course.
Yeah.
Sharp Shipment, give your weapon +2/+2. You have some burn. You have some combo cards. And actually, a Weapon Rogue is a deck that kind of wouldn't mind cutting the opponent's health in half. And if you're drawing that many legendaries for them, then if you have a spare 4 mana at some point, it might actually work. That's not like the main goal of the deck. The main goal is to hit them in the face with a weapon. But like, I'm sure it does sometimes.
It's also a deck that doesn't mind only having 29 cards in it.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like it has Fire and Nerlex just for a top end, but mostly it's pretty low to the ground. It has a little bit of early board with Flashback, which is the new summon 2 random 1-cost minions from the past. I guess I could have called this a new deck.
Yeah,
because we haven't had a Weapon Rogue right now.
It's kind of new. It's new adjacent. It's I mean, we've seen Weapon Rogue. It just happened the weapon that they're buffing is a little different. I think you're also running Fire and Narrowlex just because like you want to make sure that you're drawing with the weapon, right? So like you're gonna run a few more. Like otherwise, the only like you're running Garona because you have to. The other legendary in there is Grifta. So like 4 legendaries that you can draw out is probably pretty good. That's you just want to make sure that if you're giving it +2/+2, you're getting the value out of it and you're continuing to draw. Because every legendary you're drawing, especially if it's the top end, is not a card that you're drawing with your natural draw step.
That's true. Fire and Nerlex are probably not taking up your top end. There isn't a lot of anti-aggro tools here, really at all. You can the Flashback, the random 1-cost minions is like a little bit aboard. Foxy Fraud, a little bit. But mostly you're hoping that they're setting up and you're just hitting them real hard in the face while they're setting up. So we actually have a great win rate into Warriors. Like a fantastic win rate into Warriors.
70%.
So if you just want to hate on that, this is one of the best options for you there. But it does pretty poorly into like hunters, because that's just really aggressive.
Yeah. Warrior also I think it only runs 2 legendaries in the deck. You run Xavius and you run Dios, and I think that's it. So you're pretty likely if you're swinging Kingslayer. Oh yeah, Tortola. But they're gonna chem spill Tortola. Like you're gonna know, like that's gonna be down. So like you can swing this a couple times, and they're also you can watch them drawing too, right? Because a lot of the things that they play draw minions. Like there's the Quality Assurance that draws the taunts. That's gonna draw one. That's gonna draw one of the legendaries out, right? Because Tortola is always gonna get drawn, so you're gonna know when that's been drawn. They're playing Precursory Strike. Like you can keep track of like how many minions they've drawn, and you have a pretty reasonable idea if lane's going to be in their hand or not. And if you have to make them play lane to get it back in the deck, like that's a huge win for you because they don't really have time for that.
Anytime that someone plays lane, it is quite good for you.
Oh yeah.
In any Garona deck. Like 3 mana tradable, it's worse than the Pozic 3/3s. Yeah, you are never unhappy to see that. Another option for Rogue is Cycle Rogue with Deos and Incendius. So different builds of this have wildly different win rates. The Aegis Guru has divided them into Incendius Rogue and Cycle Rogue, and Incendius Rogue is quite negative, and Cycle Rogue is tier 2. So if you want to be doing the Deos Incendius thing, you're doing it in a Cycle package. So this is actually also running Garona. Because Kingslayer's tutors Deos and Incendius, I think is really the main reason. So that way you can always have them and you can get them down early with your Sandbox Scoundrel, which your raiding party will make sure that you draw your Sandbox Scoundrel. Then you just have like lots of other ways of drawing through your deck. Dig for Treasure, Cultist Map, Fan of Knives, a little bit of survivability. But the main idea is you're trying to, as soon as possible, get down Deos and Incendius. The way that you do this is that you Sandbox Scoundrel, well, you can do it, so you could just like play Deos if you have more mana, and then play the 1 mana mini from Scoundrel, and then that actually discounts, that Battlecry goes off twice, so it discounts Incendius by 6, so Incendius only costs 1 at that point. You could also do this earlier using your Shadow Steps, so you play the mini, then you play Deos for 4, then you Shadow Step the mini, then you play the mini for 0, your Incendius costs 1. This is like, what, 6 mana? If everything goes perfectly for you?
1/4/1, yeah. So 6 mana, yeah.
And then after you've done that, you draw with Ethereal Oracle, and or cultist map or other ways of drawing. And your so if you have Ethereal Oracle down, then assuming that they cleared your Incendius, you still have 10 eruptions that do 3 or 4 with spell damage. That's a lot of damage if you can draw your way through
If you have
it.
enough mana left over, you could Shadow Step the Incendius. Like, there's things you can do there, but yeah, and also the end of turn effects.
You don't
want
you
to
don't want to
because
Shadow Step the
yeah,
Incendius.
because you want the end of a turn effect to go off twice on the Incendius also. So yeah, it's the problem with this is that, and you can see it, like you can see from the matchup spread, you're going to be very good against the slow decks, and you are going to get murdered by aggro, just murdered into the ground, because you're not doing anything to interact with their board aside from like maybe like an O Manager or a, I don't even like Fan of Knives, maybe if you happen to hit a Warlock board with it, but you're not surviving an aggro onslaught. You're hoping that you're going to basically be able to play solitaire and ignore what the opponent's doing. And like Warrior and Death Knight to a lesser extent will let you do that, but Shredslock super will not.
Edelweiss is pointing out that because of Mech Warrior, people are running rats, and that could mess with your plan as well.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Honestly,
Good.
I'm not unhappy if this deck is collateral damage, but you can definitely give it a try. Right now it has a positive win rate, but it is trending down, I think. Okay. Zarimi Priest. I tried VS's like aggro hand buff Zarimi. I really wanted it to work. No, sadly. Now VS puts 45 deck lists out, so they can't all be winners. But unfortunately, that particular one was not. However, the Murazond route does seem to work. There was someone in the Discord who was noting, wait, Murazond doesn't seem helpful in this deck unless you get it out with Zarimi. And it's like, yeah, absolutely, that's what we're doing.
That's the joke. Yeah.
Yes, it is expensive. That's why we got control tools. So we have some of the early dragons because we need to be playing dragons for Zarimi, and also that is kind of how you can deal with early boards. It's partly fly off the shelves, and partly just you have a little bit of a board yourself. Whelp of the Infinite is the 3-mana 1/4 poisonous reborn dragon. Credit to Zako for calling this one. That card is good.
That card is really annoying, especially when you're relying on a Tortola to keep you alive. Like that little whelp does not care about your Tortola. And again, it's 4 health, which is pretty hard to deal with for a lot of decks. So it's generally like 3 things that need to go into it to get rid of it, which is a real cost for that to not just like take out their best taunt or their biggest thing. It's a really annoying minion, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it creep into more lists as the meta evolves, honestly.
Yeah. No, it's something that like it doesn't just need to have the dragon synergy to be good. Then we have Elise. The way that we're activating that is with Ceaseless Expanse. Again, we're going to like turn 13 with Neralex. You play Neralex and then Murazond and then Zarimi. That order is important. Otherwise it won't work. So
well, it'll work if you have enough mana, but yeah, it's you want to discount because Neralex doesn't care how much the dragon costs. It's just making it 1, and Murazond costs 9 and Zarimi costs 5, so you probably want to get the bigger discount on it. But like if you have 19 mana, then then you can play it in the other order and be fine with it.
Or if you don't have Neralex, you can just have 14 mana and then just play Zarimi and then play Murazond. Yeah. Or play Murazond and then like you can just play them together normally and not worry about order if you have 14 mana. World 8 in the Discord was being like, why is no one playing Parrot Sanctuary? Because that could get this down a lot faster. But most of the lists are not running that.
I tried it. I died a lot.
I think it just like doesn't do anything until you get it down, and you still have to find all the pieces, and you still have to play 8 dragons. So you're not going to do it fast no matter what.
You kind of need a critical mass of bodies to keep you alive, and Parrot Sanctuary is not a body that can protect you. If you're paying 2 mana to just put a location on board, it's not really going to help you. And honestly, it doesn't help you get this combo. Getting the combo down is not really the problem. The problem is having enough dragons to activate it and drawing through to the pieces. Actually, by the time you do that, you probably have enough mana to do it anyway. You don't really need the Parrot Sanctuary to do it.
Yeah. And you can always, like, narrow Lexusura and then go up, on the next turn, like, especially if you need an extra dragon for Zarimi. We've also got Fyrakk, we've got Shaladricel. Repackage, I'm sure, is huge in this deck. So do note that, like, copies from Elise don't count towards Zarimi. Zarimi does say play. Like, the Clay Matriarchs is 2 each and stuff like that. And
because you're getting it from the mini, not because the summoned is giving you any credit.
Right. Summoned again, wasn't played, doesn't help. Portal Vanguard definitely seems like a great addition to Zarimi because it is itself a dragon and it draws you something else, and we definitely want to be drawing through our deck. So,
yeah. And keep in mind, if you're desperate, Shaladricel has a dragon in it. That's also important to remember.
That is a good point. Shaladricel does have a dragon in it, as well as survivability tools or a way to clear a taunt, right? Like, you can dream their taunt, unless it's a Tortola, and that'll get it out of the way of your Murazond. Yeah, if you like Zarimi, unfortunately, for me, it's not the, like, super fast Zarimi. I like that one, but it's a little bit more of a control priest. Also,
speed.
apparently, Tic Tac has a control priest, so I'll put that in the show notes when we...
Yes. Yes, for my benefit, if no one else's, yes. Yeah.
Yep. We have not seen it yet. Okay. Discover Hunter. It is Discover Hunter, but it has Sylvanas in it. I imagine she's a lot better in this deck than the No Hands deck, actually. We talked when she was revealed about why she would be good in Discover Hunter. That basically, like, Alaria actually discovers spells for you, and Sylvanas just does a bunch of damage to all enemies, and sometimes we can get copy of these things with Rangari Scout. That's just all pretty strong. This Discover Hunter is pretty similar to previous Discover Hunters. It's also interesting. I don't remember running Incendious or Pylon Ticking before. Those are in this list.
Yeah, and it's Incendious with no Deus, which is also interesting.
Yeah, maybe it's just for if you need a little bit of extra damage at the end of your deck. I'm noticing this actually only has the Fabled, but that's technically 3 cards, right?
Yeah, sure. That counts. Yeah. I mean, it's 3 card slots, so they had to cut 3 cards to make room for it. So yeah. Anyway, it's basically Discover Hunter, a difficult but rewarding deck. Fyrakk Rogue. You can play like old Fyrakk Rogue, or you can add in Deja Vu. That's 1 mana, discover a copy of a card in your opponent's hand. It costs 1 less. That just seems to be quite a solid card. Is this one running? I've seen some of them running Garona, not this one. Oh, this one, that's it. Okay. That's it, yeah. So Deja Vu, it's good. Put it in your Fyrakk Rogue. You're good.
Some people are running Flash Forward, but I don't even know that that's correct. Because we have, like, Dubious Purchase and stuff like that.
I mean, Deja Vu gets you a card, and it's a combo enabler. It seems good in this deck. Yeah.
Yep. It looks like it took the place of Nightmare Fuel, which probably makes sense.
Yeah, it's probably better than Nightmare Fuel. Yeah.
Quest Warrior. This particular version is not even running the Fabled. It's just running the Great Draco Rex. That's kind of interesting.
Well, it's running Unleash the Crocolisk and Precursory Strike. That's what it's doing.
Yes. Those are just solid control tools.
Yeah,
so it makes
they're
sense.
fine. I mean, get one, especially together, right? Draw 3 damage, draw a minion, and 1 mana, gain 10 armor are both things that you want to do. And that's pretty much good enough.
And Edel is pointing out, and for glory, for glory.
Yeah. And those 3 things just kind of go together. You play Unleash the Crocolisk, you get the 2 extra minions on the opponent's side, you 4 glory, and then you use the Precursory Strike to get rid of one of them, and you're off to the races. Yeah,
and you're
those are just like those are like the chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry ice cream that all go into the whatever the Napoleon or whatever the Neapolitan, whatever the one is that has all 3 of those flavors in it. Yeah.
Yes. The main time that strawberry ice cream gets eaten.
Yeah, that's basically it. And I mean, you can tech this out, right? Like you can, we've been talking a few times about you can throw Vipers in here, you can throw Dirty Rats in here. There are different things that you can do to tech this out based on whatever you're seeing or whatever you just hate. It doesn't have to be a meta call. It could just be, I hate losing to that, and I'm going to make sure I don't. And that's also a valid way to build your deck. But yeah, it's you basically, and then you stay alive. You finish the quest, and then you go do quest things. So yeah, it still works. Again, it's this version that we have that was first streamed by Pizza is not teched for the warrior matchup, so it's only and it's even without being hard teched for the warrior matchup, it's still 49% against the warrior, probably solely because of Tortola, to be completely honest, because you still have Chemspill Tortola, and that still does buy you an incredible amount of time against the mech warrior.
All right. Yes. So if you want to play Control, Warrior is a really good option right now. So, and we will have all of these links will be in the show notes for anyone who wants to check that out. Peddler, Demon Hunter. So the main things that are new here. So this was a deck that was a little fringe. Like it existed, but was not super popular. But basically, it uses Spirit Peddler, which is a 6-mana 6/6 demon with Rush, Death Rattle, reduce the cost of a random minion in your hand by 6. It has that and a bunch of expensive stuff. You can also get like a free window shopper, and then the free window shopper gives you a free demon, stuff like that. This is also running Broxigar. I would have to ask someone who has played this deck more how often we're getting Broxigar down.
I would expect not particularly often, like, especially because we're not running this is not a no minion deck. So I would be surprised if we're getting Broxigar down, because we're not really focusing on turbo drawing per se. We are also running Perennial Serpent, which just seems good.
Yeah. Edelweiss says she has played against this deck and it is relevant because the weapon does draw 2 of them. And we are going a little bit later in this deck. Like, Broxigar maybe isn't best positioned as a turbo thing. It might be best positioned as like a I also have some extra damage at the end of my deck type of situation.
Yeah.
Edel's pointing out you also draw with Fyrak and with Paraglide.
Yeah, those are one-ofs in the deck. So I'm still going to consider myself skeptical, but I can, yeah.
You can use Hat's favorite word, which would be to call a deck ambitious.
Yeah.
It's like very nice Hat speak for, I don't think that's good. That seems ambitious.
I mean, that said, like, the matchup spread is pretty much positive across the board. Its worst matchup is Rogue with 49.5%. I mean, it's a small sample size, so, you know, your results may vary, but it seems to have a puncher's chance in any matchup, which is kind of what you want in this meta. So I as skeptical as I am, I haven't played it, and I'm a known Broxigar hater, so I could be proven wrong here, but it seems like it's got a fairly reasonable matchup spread, so it might be worth trying just for that reason alone.
Oh, Edel's pointing out that she's been hit with Brox plus red card on the Brox, I guess, so that it'll then come up again on your turn and they can't do anything about it.
Eventually, yeah. If you're playing a slow enough deck, that matters, yeah.
Yeah, you have a lot of late game, right? Like, and most of it is cheap by that point, because you can get the Spirit Peddlers back, like with Ferocious Fellbat, you have Marin, you have Fyrak, you have Twin Perfect Ziliax. So you're putting on pressure, and then it's like, okay, if you still aren't dead, I'm going to have a second one. Also, Edel's been playing like Control Death Knight and Warrior and stuff, so
yeah.
So she's got armor, probably.
I mean, I should be less skeptical of that, because those are the kinds of things that I would also be enjoying, but yeah.
But yeah, and then there is, so even though that's technically an older deck, it is newer to a lot of people, so if you want to play something a little newer in the Demon Hunter route, give that a try. Nebula Shaman added Muradin. That's basically the story.
Okay, seems good.
Seems good. Yep. And you can like triangulate the avatar form or other stuff. There were a lot of legendaries in this deck. Oh my gosh.
My god, it's full of stars. Yeah. Wow. I wasn't even scrolled down all the way. Yeah, it's just this is Wallet Shaman is what this is. Yeah, it's 16,480 dust. Sure.
Yeah. Edel is saying probably the most expensive deck in the format. So, yeah, that is quite a few options that you have in the meta. And again, once we get balance changes, or even just as things evolve, again, it has not even been 3 days yet as we're recording since the expansion comes out. Things evolve. So there may be other options, or some of these maybe you'll be doing worse or better. Some things seem pretty close, like Divergence Warlock is positive if you include the like sort of outlier lower builds. So Divergence Warlock, Edel had one of these. As far as I can tell, you're doing kind of the Deus Incendius thing, but with Divergence instead. That splits a minion in your hand into 2 halves, and you're okay if you hit either one.
I got Agamemnon, whatever the hell is the one that they split the thing that makes your next card cost opponent's health, and played both of those, and then played things that were expensive. That was what they were doing to me when I ran into a Divergence Warlock. It didn't work, but it was scary.
Yeah. Edelus is like, oh yeah, that seems good. Yes, splitting the Agamemnon.
Thank
you.
You
can do that twice.
Agamemnon is like a Marvel character or something. Yeah.
Agamemnon is from the Iliad.
Oh yeah,
Ancient Greek mythology.
Before he was a Marvel character, he was in the Iliad, or the Iliad copied Marvel or something. Who knows? What do I know? I'm uncultured.
Yeah,
Leave me alone.
Maybe Homer, knew things from the future. I was watching a silly YouTube video sort of sketch where somebody was like, conspiracy theories of the future, and it was somebody arguing that like ancient like visual art masterpieces must have been done by Gen AI, because how could people back then possibly have had the time or the talent to make this? And I was like,
they had nothing else to
plausible.
Do. Like they had patrons. They didn't have to do anything else. That's all they did was make art. If we could do that, we'd be making such good art that we wouldn't need AI to do it.
And there are people out there who are doing that. And all the respect to them. So yeah, so that is something that like is probably viable. It just doesn't look directly like it's viable. I'm trying to find that Divergence Warlock. Even with all of them, it's like 49%. Yeah. Again, I have to it's really low sample sizes, but
that seems like the kind of thing that like is not going to do great into a bunch of armor and then dying immediately. So
yeah, it's definitely, and if it is a good thing, it has not been refined yet. But yeah, there are other things that might be up and coming that are still being worked out, is the main point here. I wish that Arcane, I mean, maybe I wouldn't if it was good, but I wish that Arcane Mage was doing a little better. Because that was a really interesting archetype. We'll have to see whether there's a way to build our way out of it, or
that feels like the kind of deck that if any aggro exists is going to have a hard time, just in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I definitely don't want it to be good, because I want aggro to exist. But yeah, I think that really does it for covering a lot of options for you.
Yeah. So we have many folks we'd like to thank. Check out the thanks section on our website at concede.com, where you can also find our contact info, our show notes, and our Patreon information. You can monetarily support our show at patreon.com/coinconcede. You can follow us on Blue Sky at coinconcede. You can write into our email at coinconcede@gmail.com. Join us every week live by following us on Twitch at twitch.coinconcede.com. Join our community chats in our Discord at discord.coinconcede.com. Subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/coinconcede. Oh, and like and subscribe if you do watch there. Thank you very much. And if you would like some CC swag, don't go to our shop right now, because Edel is, I'm sure if she was here, she would tell us that she was still working on it. But we are going to get a new shop soon TM. So I guess we're both gonna coin concede to Edel, and hopefully Edel feels better and rests the voice, and will be back with us in full force next week. Other than that, coin concedes Megasa.
I guess I will coin concede to the professor for the grad school class I'm in. This, like, I know that the professors in this program are not doing it for the money because it's a really affordable program. And I really appreciate just like how much time she's putting in. It's her first time teaching this class, and she's like really putting in a lot of time to try to support us and bring in her expertise. And when she doesn't know about something, finding someone to be a guest speaker to talk to us about it. This is the second class I've had with her. It was like the second part of the same class, and she's already really improved a lot of things. So, and she even did like one-on-one meetings with all of us. So it's very appreciated to have her kind of giving back to the next generation of educational therapists. And I feel bad that I'm not paying more for it.
Well, I'm going to coin concede to a YouTube channel called Kurt's Comic Review, which did a two-part 2-hour series of visiting every comic book shop in the state of Massachusetts, which has been, for my younger daughter, has been quite the topic of interest of late. So it looks like I am going to play Magic pre-release at one of the like gigantic comic book stores near Boston, so that she can go with me and then look at comics for 4 hours while I play Wizard Chess. So thank you for that, because that is there's a they actually, it's pretty, if you are local, it is pretty interesting, because he does, I mean, I don't do comics anymore, like since I was in high school, but I appreciate his rating, and like there are some things that he completely does not care about, like he super does not care about games, like at all, and it's pretty obvious. But because he blows right past there's a bunch of game stuff, like okay, fine. But he does a good job of at least highlighting a bunch of these things, and shop local and support your local businesses, which most comic book shops here, except for Newberry Comics, which he also hilariously visited every location of Newberry Comics and got more and more annoyed at the sameness of all of them. as he went through the video, it kind of felt like a descent into madness. It was fun, but yeah. But that's gonna do it for us for this week. So until next time, keep calm and play Mech Warrior or attack against it. And if you see us on ladder, coin concede.
Coin concede.
All life must end. I yield for now. I concede. Well fought. I concede.
You win this one.
The victory is yours.
You have bested me.
I give up.
You win this one, friend.